Last minute shakeup at 5:30 a.m., laundry situation not good. And when your focus is on helping your clients, it's easy to forget about yourself. But NASM knows trainers.
Morning, Ryan. It's okay.
And staying in front of the day isn't always as
Thanks,
simple
Ryan.
as 1,
What's
2,
up?
3. So when the unexpected has you pressing pause,
What's the latest on creatine?
I'm going to get back to you on that.
let NASM 1 help you press play. Visit NASM.org to sign up for a membership today.
You're listening to Random Fit with hosts Wendy Batts and Ken Miller, winner of a Gold Markham Award for Digital Media.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Random Fit. I am Wendy Batts here with my friend and co-host, Ken Miller. Ken, how's it going?
Things are great, Wendy. How you doing?
I am doing very well. Today's episode, we are going to talk about, ready for this, scrolling less and living more. I know that I don't go too far without my phone. I always know where it is. And if I can't find it, I have that moment of almost freaking out because technology is my world. My work is done online. I obviously do a lot of things with NASM online, and I just feel lost without technology. And that's not necessarily the healthy way of living life either.
No, it's got to be a tool for you versus that implement using you, right? So it's something, Wendy, that, when you and I first talked about this topic, it's a big part of our conversations when we talk to our clients. I mean, there's how we use it, right? Because we're on the phone, we have to return calls, we have to schedule, we have to write quick notes and send our clients. I don't know, do you send your clients text messages on what you did that day for that training session?
Oh, I send them. They absolutely have every one of their workouts. Yes. I don't send it in a text, but I send it in an email, and then I follow up with how you feeling, how's so-and-so, are you sore today? That kind of thing.
Yeah. But sometimes I'll be typing out the email on my phone, right?
Oh,
So
100%.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So when we talked about scrolling less and living more, so it's not just about, get away from your phone, put it down and get to living, get out there, live life, get outside, get exposure to sunlight and daylight and all that good stuff. But it's also the fact that when we sacrifice the quality of our rest that we might get when we have good quality sleep, right, then that affects us when we are awake and when we want to get physical. So like what we talked about, Wendy, it's just about, it's not, and just to put it in context, it's not just about the phone. It's about people being in front of the computer, and, because you can look up social media on your computer. I'd rather look at it on the computer because it's a bigger screen. But also, we could also extend this out to, I don't know, Wendy, if you have clients who are gamers and they are playing video games at all hours of the night. Literally, I have a buddy who's telling me, I went to bed at 3 a.m. because, their teammates, when they're playing their whatever game that they're playing, that's when they can log on. After the kids have gone to bed, they finish their last minute, work, and then they log on and they play for 2-3 hours, and they're going to bed at.
Or let's be real, it's probably when their wives go to sleep, because that's the last thing they want them to do.
that's more often the case. It's like, see ya, honey.
Yeah. Well, when we were going through and we were looking at all the different information, there was something that we read where it was kind of like, here's the top 10 benefits of doing, a digital detox. How do you literally increase your life, meaning expectancy? What is the phone smart? And it's not even just the phone, like you said, it's your tablets, it's your computers, it is the phone. But, what I thought was interesting, as we go through this list, I'm like, oh, yep, that's me. Yep, that's me. But I also, now that you guys hopefully are listening to this and thinking about it, look around wherever you are, and you're going to see people, whether they're eating dinner, their kids are on a tablet, they may not even be interacting. It kills me. I'll go to dinner with my husband, and we have this thing when we go to dinner, phones have to be put away. And we actually have to look each other in the eye and talk to each other and have a conversation. without looking at the phone. But when you're looking around, Ken, it's unbelievable. You're sitting there, or they're sitting there with a significant other or a friend, and everyone is on a tablet. Everyone's looking down. There's no words being expressed. They're probably texting each other their conversation. And I've heard from a lot of younger people that are in the dating world now that people just don't talk on the phone. When they really don't, they feel very uncomfortable when they have to go and meet someone for the first time, because they're not used to interacting with people, because texting or the phones have taken over that. Yeah. So as we go through this, if you look around, whether people are crossing the street, whether they're in a conversation with someone else, there's been multiple times I'm trying to get a point across to my husband, and he's, yep, that sounds great. And I know he's not listening because he's texting or doing something. We are very, very hyper connected, and we need to take a few steps back. And but number one, let's go through the top 10. So number one, you just mentioned it when you were first starting, was improved sleep quantity and quality. And like you said, when you're thinking about the blue light, so when we're looking at the computer, there's obviously this light that comes through the screen. And they do have glasses now that are made for people that have to work late or on the computer a lot. They're called like blue light blockers, if you will, kind of. And basically, it's one of those things where when you're looking at it, it's linked to poor sleep, and especially in adolescence, and hormone regulation. That's obviously a very big one. Muscle repair. I mean, guys, when you're sleeping, that is your time for your body to kind of catch back up and heal itself within. And if you're not getting a good night's rest, your body's going to suffer.
Huge, because I've had conversations with clients who have kids who like to game, and they're playing it all up until, okay, I need to be in bed by 9 o'clock. They'll play it until 8:55. And when we talk about the quality of sleep as well as the quantity of sleep, if you're talking about someone who's in high school, and you're going to need 9-11 hours of sleep respectively, because at the end of the day, it's like your brain has run a marathon. It's so exhaustive as far as the energy that it uses. So to get not just the length of sleep, but also the depth and the quality of sleep, especially as an adolescent who might have that phone in front of them or might be playing a video game, and that blue light exposure does affect all of that. So when it comes to memory reconciliation, so actually consolidating everything that you've learned from that day, you're gonna affect how that absorption happens when it comes to recall. If you have to do a test or a quiz that day or that next day or that week, your recall is going to be affected just by the quality of sleep that you are or you're not getting. I just remember during when we had to do virtual education, when things were shut down, they couldn't go to school, and we had to get those, we had to get the little blue light. I don't know, Wendy, if you had to do this, but they had to do the blue light glasses just as a recommendation from our pediatrician, so that we can affect the exposure to blue light, just because they're sitting in front of the computer from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. So that's a lot of time to look at a screen and get that much exposure.
Well, and there's a book, if you guys want to read something that's kind of scary, and you do have children that are, again, my son is 8. You've heard me talk about him a lot, but there's a book called The Anxious Generation. And if you get a chance to read it, it will scare you to where you're never going to want to let your children be on technology whatsoever, because of what they're finding out, what's happening at the brain. And the different, I don't want to say learning departments, but it's actually a fascinating read. I'm not quite done with it, but it is very scary, where I'm like, I do not want my child to have a phone. Yeah. I'm just going to be, I'll probably be that person that pushes as far as I possibly can when everybody else has one. I mean, he's already asking, can I at least have a watch so I can call you, and I'm like, well, I already know where you are. Like, we're fine right now.
Yeah. So just be where you're supposed to be, and we're okay.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll find you. Yeah. Okay. So number one, improve quality and quantity of sleep. Number two, I just kind of hit on this one too. I thought this one's interesting. Enhanced recovery from workouts. So again, we have to think about the stress hormones. That's what's happening at the gym. So levels, like high levels of cortisol, that will interfere with muscle recovery. So the excessive, what they're finding anyway, is the excessive screen time is going to elevate these cortisol level. And it's not going to allow you to have a good night's rest, which is what we're talking about. But it also doesn't allow your body to kind of calm itself down and go and through the proper recovery methods. And so this is a really good time where you put your phone away, you're done with the screens for the day, and then you're going to take time. You and I are huge advocates of this, to foam roll, to use a percussion device, something to try to decrease the tension in your muscles, detension in your body. We always want to think and focus on the muscles that are overactive or tight, because we're trying to down regulate that activity. Because if I go to sleep, and Ken, I don't know if you're the same way, I'll go work out, or if I'm like super stressed out and I got on the computer and I'm laying down and I'm trying to go to sleep and my brain's going 90 to nothing, I end up taking my shoulders, and I'll notice that I'm like shrugging and I'm laying in bed because I'm just still so tight and stressed out. So if you really want to recover and you're thinking about the workout, then just get off the screens before you go to bed or after a workout. Don't pick up your phone for a bit.
Yeah, and the thing about cortisol, a lot of, cortisol's got a bad rap, but there is a purpose for it, right? So as you're going through your day, there's a cortisol buildup, but what we need to do, it's the chronic elevation. So when cortisol is high too long, and we have to give our body a chance to recover, and that comes with the cortisol dropping for the sake of recovery, because cortisol, it's responsible for breaking down tissue, and what we really want to do is then when it's broken down, we want it to build up. But if cortisol is too high for too long, that affects the recovery process. And that thought that you put out there, Wendy, when you're foam rolling, one of the things I started having my clients do is you put the phone away, because what are you doing when you're foam rolling? You're you're checking your text messages, you're doing it, or even with the Normatec boots, you're sitting there. I mean, one of the best things I ever did was I forgot my phone in the other room, and I had already started my Normatec compression going. So I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm just going to sit here and be with my brain and my thoughts. But I tell you what, that was the best nap that I've ever taken, because I didn't have this phone distracting me and keeping me awake. What I do is I do some breathing exercises when my legs are getting compressed. So immerse yourself in the recovery process. So even when it comes to movement preparation or post-workout, if you have foam rolling and stretching that you need to get done in order to recover from the workout, leave the phone behind for 5 more minutes. Don't just take it as like, okay, now I got to stretch and I'm going to go ahead and hit my phone up. And, it's going to change the life. If you're an athlete and you go into the training room, what's the number one thing they do? They're getting body work done and they're checking their phones. Put it away. And I mean,
100%. I'm sitting there and I'm trying to talk to them, and they're like, yeah. And I'm like, are you even listening to me? But it's interesting that you say that about your Normatec boots, because Ken, this is terrible, but I take my computer and I'm grading papers. And so my computer is moving up and down as it compresses and goes forward. But I'm like, well, I feel like I'm doing good. But then to your point, I'm not getting fully, I still have the screen in front of me. So I have a lot to work on. If you guys go back and listen to every podcast, I'm like, I got to do this. I don't do this. But I am human. So, but I will say, okay, so far, number one, we talked about sleep, the quantity and quality. Number two, we talked about recovery from the workouts. If you want to get good enhanced recovery, then don't get on your screen after a workout. Number three, increased energy levels. So here they're talking about how the digital stimulation leads to mental fatigue. And I was talking to someone about this, and they're like, well, Winnie, this is my job. I'm always on the computer. But think about this. When you guys take a long road trip, if you're the driver and you're sitting down all day and you're just driving, but then you realize just how tired you're getting. It's not just the sound of the car and the motion of the movement, but it's also because you're having to constantly focus on the road, right? Or the traffic or the people around you for safety reasons. Well, your brain's kind of doing the same thing, but you have this light fighting back too. So, we'll tell people you need to get up and you need to stretch. And we say that because when we know prolonged sitting and rounded shoulders and forward head, that obviously increases bad posture, possible discomfort later on, whether it's in your neck or your lower back. But you also have to think too, your brain needs a break. It needs a break from the screen. You need to go ahead and get away from all technology and anything digital, but your eyes need a break from the light. And so that's a big one, because if you can put that down and you just go out and do something different, it stimulates your brain in a different way, but it's also going to let you be more productive when you come back.
Yeah, totally. And this is where I tell my client, get away from the computer screen. Put the phone away, go for a walk. If you can spare 5 minutes, get outside, get some fresh air, oxygen. And I just had this conversation this morning with one of my clients, like the brain works off of two things, sugar and oxygen. If I'm looking down, I'm affecting my respiration and how much oxygen exchange I'm going to get when I'm breathing. So go outside, stand up, do some postural exercises, expand the rib cage, get oxygen to and from the brain, and this just feeds into the same thing. I mean, you're doing two things at once, really. Leave the screen, go get some oxygen, and then go back at it. So two birds with one stone on that one.
Yep. Well, number 4, this one's a big one. If I were to rank these, I would have put this as number 1 personally.
Yeah.
And I think it's because
Yeah.
if you want to think about stress and anxiety. And so it's interesting because, you look at social media and you start reading research and you read articles about mental illness and some of these children that are scared of kind of going out in the world, or what other people think of them. And so I'm going to use social media as an example, but that's going to, people start to compare themselves to others. And that was a big one. And I've seen that happen. People feel like they're inadequate if they put a post up and they didn't get a lot of likes or they didn't get a lot of comments. They have a fear of missing out on something. And I know that sometimes I have that FOMO, if you will. And it's not because I'm missing out on something that is good. It's more of like, I don't want to miss a meeting. I don't want to miss a conversation or something that's important, that maybe it's with someone that I'm contracted out with, or an athlete that might need me. But it's okay to have downtime and have your time off. But I feel like if I'm not always looking at my phone or checking in before I go to bed, if I have a student that had a question or I have somebody that needs my help, it's that fear of not being there for them. But then I'm also always at their beck and call, like I'm available 24/7, and that's not healthy. It is not healthy. And then it does increase my anxiety or my stress levels. If you ever go to the Masters, guys, you can't bring your phone in. Your phone is not allowed in. And if you take your phone in and somebody gave you those tickets, the people that own those tickets they can take them away for life. So it's one of those things that you don't want to ever do that, because it's one of those events that people will say sometimes a once in a lifetime opportunity to go. But it's also, when you're there, it is the most relaxing thing because nobody's on their phone, and it's amazing.
I'd be watching every golf swing I could find. That's like, there's no way.
Movement patterns, golf swings, you're eating pimento cheese sandwiches and
$1 hot dogs, or how much?
$1 hot dogs, drinking your lemonade.
Drinking the lemonade. and Wendy, you have clients that take their phone and they show you, it's like, I want to do this exercise, or what do you think about this exercise? And your question goes, well, why would you want to do that exercise? Well, because I want to look like that person, or I think it's cool, or it's very athletic, and I'm gonna talking about golf. I want my golf swing to look like that. So then by comparison, if your golf swing doesn't look like what they're seeing on social media, then that in and of itself is a source of stress, because they're trying to chase something that I'll say it's impossible, because for every golfer out there, there's going to be everybody has a different style of swing, and you just have to make yours as efficient as possible so you don't get hurt. So, I mean, to the point of, again, watch what you're trying to compare yourself to, and, just realize that there's a lot of content out there that doesn't have to do with you, but it's working for them, because here you're looking at it 10, 12, 15 times, and they're getting all the views, and they're actually sharing it with you. So if anything, all you're doing is just helping out whoever it is that posted whatever it was, and it doesn't really have anything beneficial to you, unless, you are looking at it from educational purposes, but overall it's just social media. 9 times out of 10, it's just going to be another source of anxiety, whether it's fashion or exercise or possessions or locations, that you want to go on vacation. All it is a highlight reel, just to put it in a perspective of someone else's life. And, just watch what you compare things to.
Well, and I know this is not you, but if you guys have an Apple phone at the end of, at the end of the week, it'll give you kind of your digital breakdown, and it'll tell you how long you've been looking at your phone in different areas. And it's amazing. Like when I see it drop, I'm like, yes, and it can just be a couple percent, but then I compete with myself. And then if I'm on my phone, because there's a lot of things going on, then I'm like, well, this is going to go up. And then I feel worse because I'm comparing myself to myself. So yeah, but it is one of those things when we look at technology in a positive way, it can show you how much you're on it and show that it may not be healthy for you. So something to look at.
Exactly.
But all right, let's go through this too. So number 5, focus and concentration. This one's a big one. Again, when I started reading that book, I was like, wow, because you see what's happening within the different portions of your brain when you're looking at technology and gaming and looking at life realistically besides what they're seeing on games. And I think that's what's really, really difficult, because there are a ton of different games out there where it's not real. Like what you're seeing on and playing on the game isn't real into life, but then they don't know how to go out and live life because they're on the gaming more than they are out in public. And so again, it starts to decrease your attention span. The hindering, like you said, of focus, but especially if you're thinking about working out and on the exercise side of it, if you're always waiting or looking at your phone and you feel it vibrate, or there's all these notifications that constantly keep popping up, it shuts down what you're doing and the intentional movement quality and patterning that you're trying to do on that particular exercise, because then it shifts your focus over to something else that might have happened on Instagram. You got an Instagram notification or a next notification, or you got a text message that you're like, oh, I need to stop and answer this right this minute. And so, that's a big one that I think sometimes if you can turn your notifications off or hit your do not disturb when you're in the gym or when you're doing something that's very important, like maybe spending time with your family, it's okay not to be available, but it really will decrease your concentration and focus on whatever it is you're trying to do if you're constantly getting notifications on your phone.
Yeah, and I've changed the setting on my phone, and I've changed the setting on my Garmin, because here I am, I'm on the assault bike and I'm going at it, and I find myself, I'm looking at my watch because I'm getting all these notifications. And here I am, I'm trying to keep my heart rate at 162, but then the second I take my mind off of it, my heart rate comes back down. So, I mean, it's hard enough without the phone being in front of you. So the idea of monitoring how you get notifications, and that's been, I mean, I actually held off on getting some form of a smartwatch for a long time, just because I did not want to be over connected. And here I am, I'm finding out the same thing for myself. And it's hard enough to focus when you don't have distractions. And then now to get those distractions, just keep those off the table, do your settings. So when I'm on my, I think my Morpheus app, it automatically goes into workout mode. And when I'm in workout mode, then all notifications are silent or if just shut off. So.
Well, there you go.
There you
well,
go.
Before we go through 6 through 10, I want to say that today you guys are joining us on Random Fit with myself, Wendy Batts, and Ken Miller, and we're talking about scrolling less and living more. So we're really going through the top 10 detox ways of technology that you can start to focus on and make you more aware. And this episode of Random Fit is brought to you by NASM One, which is the membership for trainers and coaches. Members enjoy unlimited access to hundreds of career resources. Get the Edge app to schedule and program clients. Enjoy half off all certifications and specializations. Access free CEUs and more. All of this for just $35 a month. Go to nasm.org/membership to learn more about NASM One. All right, Ken. So number 6, let's talk about boosting athletic performance.
Oh, yeah.
You obviously increase your sleep, which we've already talked about. You reduce stress, which we've already talked about. And you can enhance focus, which is what we just talked about. Then you're going to actually have better athletic performance. So especially if you're trying to get ready for a marathon or a half marathon or do something that's more athletic and going to push you to a harder point than you're normally training for, or whatever it is, the day of competition's there. Don't get on don't get on your technology the night before. Don't get on right before you go and do something. I know personally, I've done this before tennis matches, and I might see something that puts me in just a foul mood, and I play terribly. So it's one of those things that just leave it down. It's still going to be there when you get back. But if you really want to enhance your overall athletic performance, put the phone down. Put the phone down.
Put the phone down. I tell my daughter, don't, put your phone in your backpack. Just get it away. If you're in the car on the way to practice or on the way to a game, don't just put it away, turn it off, leave it off. And just for all that's starting to come out now, as far as on field or in competition performance, as far as reduced performance levels. I mean, it's just, proof is already coming out. So don't do it. Stay away.
Stay away. Number 7, enhance coordination and balance. I mean, this seems, especially in younger children, as they're still developing kind of the sense of their body, and as they're growing, they're still kind of learning how to manipulate themselves in space. So concentration and coordination and balance is all going to be key. So really focusing more on moving in all 3 planes of motion, moving at different speeds. You'll hear we talk about golf, but a lot of golf coaches, and they've even said this to my son, they're like, teach him how to hit hard, teach him how to swing fast. We'll work on the mechanics as we go through it, because you start to learn that at a young age. And as you start to get older, it's really hard to increase your club head speed if you're not used to doing things faster. And so really focusing on your athletic capabilities and abilities at a younger age by staying off. Games are still going to be there. Computers, everything's going to be there later in life. But as you're growing, especially if you've got kids, just try to reduce the amount of screen time. It's going to pay off.
Yeah. And this next point, actually, it's very, very closely related. But when we talk about improved posture and reduced pain being one of the 10 reasons for digital detox, think about when you do look at the screen, no one is holding their hand right in front of their face so that they can keep their head on top of the rib cage, so they can have their, shoulders back and their spine tall. Nobody does it. Everybody's holding things down towards the shoulder, towards the ribs, and they're looking down. So when you think about what that does to head positioning, neck positioning, your spinal position, that's going to totally affect how you coordinate movement. So, when we talk about coordination balance, it is related definitely to posture, and posture is definitely related to pain. So to take those 2 points together, very closely related. If anything, one does affect the other one, not just from a neurological, a brain level, but your body is your brain when you think about how your brain expresses movement.
Well, and then it would bring us to the number 9 too. And that's kind of when you're looking at it as a whole, makes sense to everything that we've talked about. But if you can put the screens away, you get a good night's rest, you decrease your stress levels. Guess what? Your immunity, you're going to increase your immune system as well. When you start to get tired, you get extremely stressed out, you feel terrible, your body hurts, you're not sleeping well, recovering well, then obviously we're going to notice that there's an issue with your immune system. Then you feel like you get sick easier. You have no motivation to go out and do anything. So sleep is really important, but the stress level and reduction of that is really important. And I think that's a big one. And then I'm going to go ahead and throw out what they put as number 10, because I thought this was interesting, but increased motivation and adherence for fitness goals. Yeah. So talk to me. When I say that, what does that mean to you, Ken?
Well, I think this goes down to one, when you talk about SMART goals and goal setting, you want to make sure, number one, it's real and reasonable. But if you're on social media, if you're looking at whatever your source is, and you're seeing a 6-pack abs, you're seeing somebody with these cannonball shoulders, and maybe it's not in your genetic makeup, or maybe your lifestyle is something different than not saying that things are impossible, but if you're looking at this as a constant reminder of how you want to look and how you want to feel and how you want to be when it's spring break or the summer, well, you have to look at what's appropriate for you. So again, getting back to the point of comparing your life with what somebody else has put on there, that can be discouraging, because if you have this constant reminder, and this is the kind of algorithm that your social media has created for you, like this person likes to look at 6-pack abs, and they keep flooding your social media with that, and that's what you constantly compare yourselves to, well, yeah, you got to question whether or not, okay, is this a positive motivator or a negative motivator, right? So something to think about when it comes to your motivation, and is it going to get you to get that extra repetition, extra 10 minutes on your cardiorespiratory fitness training? So I don't know. It's, again, the mixed bag. I mean, is it a curse or a blessing?
Yeah, true. And, Ken, I'm going to run through all 10. So I'm going to give you again the recap. So number 1, improved sleep and quality and quantity. Number 2, enhance recovery from your workouts. Again, sleep is going to help your body recover. Number 3, increase your energy levels. Get off of your social media. And then at that point, you're going to be able to go out and do a lot more things. And of course, take your digital breaks if you have to be in front of the computer for long periods of time. Reduce stress and anxiety. That's a big one. We talked about it. That would have been my number 1. Improve focus and concentration. We know, again, we're hindering our focal points if we're always being distracted by some kind of notification or something coming up. Number 6 was boost athletic performance. Again, we know that we want to enhance our focus. That's going to make us actually perform at a higher level. Coordination and balance. So again, if we're on screens, then that can reduce our motor skills and our proprioception. It also starts messing with our eyes. So that's a big one. You talked about, again, I think what you said would be one of your most important would be posture and reduce pain. We hear that as trainers all the time, discomfort, poor posture, what it leads to. Again, nothing on the positive side. Number 9, immunity system, your immune system. So we want to increase our immune system. We want to be able to live and not feel sick and run down. So again, get a good night's sleep, eating nutrition, like nutritional foods, getting away, enjoying conversation, being active in your community and with your family. And then number 10, of course, increased motivation and adherence to your fitness goals. And you said that, it can be good motivation and bad motivation. But I think all in all, if I were to say what the biggest thing is all of this is about balance. I think balance is huge. Make small changes. If you know that you're on your phone too much, I'm not saying put your phone down and just give it a whole day and go a whole day without working on your phone or looking at your phone, because to me, that's really unrealistic. But I know that I can put my phone down and go for a walk, and it's okay. I know that it's when I'm spending time with my son, that it's okay that my phone's in a different room, because these are the moments you can't get back. And so the thing is your notifications, your emails, your text messages, they're still going to be there when you go back to your phone, but you may miss out on something that your family's doing that won't ever happen again.
Yeah. Got to be present. Got to be there. What's the saying? Keep your head where your feet are. And
what?
keep your head where your feet are. So if your feet are in this room, your head should be in this room.
I was thinking literally, like, why would I want to be down there?
You're like,
I'm already short enough, Ken. So,
be
I'm
present.
a very literal person. Just
be present. Just be there. Be there. And eliminate distractions when you can. I mean, that was always an issue for me, even before the phones came into my life. So Wendy, thanks for rapping with me on this one. This was a good one, and I think between you and I, we have this conversation more and more and more with our clients, and it is about figuring out a lifestyle with more managed use of our screens. So I'm glad we were able to talk about this, because I'm sure, hopefully, you as a listener of Random Fit got something out of this as far as the multiple benefits of digital detox. So if you like this episode with both Wendy Batts and I, Ken Miller, and talking about digital detox, like, follow, subscribe, download, share, and more importantly, give us a 5 out of 5 if you can, and let us know what you want us to talk about on future episodes. So until next time, everybody, take care and be well.